Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, and welcome to the new season of Adventure Time TVlogs. I said I was going to review some of the missing Season 5 episodes in the break, and I was actually working on those yesterday. I didn't realize Adventure Time was coming back so soon. I will still cover those, we'll catch up at some point. But for right now, this is more important. The beginning of Season 6. And first of all, not cool changing the time slot. The things I had to do to see this episode. Whew. But anyway, what you know, last season's premiere, the two-parter was kind of met with a lot of controversy because they kind of had an epic story going and then it just kind of petered off. This season though, I like it a lot more than last season, but I don't know if Adventure Time really has the big epic story down. I think it works on the small scale, but I don't think they've ever really been able to tell an amazing story. The two-parter where they go to the Nightosphere, I think that's probably the most epic adventure Finn and Jake have ever been on. You know, the two-parter that's worked the best. And I like the original Lich two-parter was cool, but really the story was solved in the first part, and then the second part was kind of like its own story with Princess Bubblegum and all that. So I don't even know. I mean, yes, it's a two-parter, but it's not like one huge adventurous story. And this one is, and I'm not saying I really liked it. I like this episode, but I still don't think it was as good as it could have been. I think they could have really raised the stakes. Okay, so I don't actually have too many notes on the first episode. I don't know. It just wasn't. Prismo was in it, which was cool. Prismo sacrifices himself, which is pretty crazy. I mean, the Lich being in the corner of the room, that's an obvious setup. Obviously, something was going to happen with that. Yeah. Something I noticed, which is kind of funny, is that Prismo talks like Clarence from the new show Clarence. His accent and stuff kind of sounds like Clarence. It's worth it. I also like where the first episode ends. Like with Finn screaming "Daddy," running right into the mysterious portal. Yeah, and actually that's about it for notes. The other thing is that that the whole Billy knowing where Finn's dad thing was, yeah, that's not explained at all. And I mean, I guess it doesn't need to be. I was kind of hoping we'd get some reason. But no, it just seems like Billy was there to just drop that bomb so we'd have something to do at the beginning of Season 6 as opposed to any real relation that we know of yet. To be fair, the episode is kind of still vague about Finn's dad's origins and all of that. So really the two big things to talk about, or I guess the three big things, are Finn's dad, Finn's arm, and the Lich. So I guess we'll start with the Lich. The way... Okay, so yeah, like I said, it was obvious. I'm sorry, my brain is just... This is an interesting episode. The way the Lich was there from the start in the corner of the room, like, that was all obvious and kind of like, whatever. So you kind of knew he was going to come back in this episode and be a big bad and all that. But it was really cool the way he did it. It was really cool how he get himself sent to the crystal Citadel or whatever, and then he like warps the crystal and turns like the bad guys even worse. You know, makes them gray and all that. And he's really menacing with Finn. Like he just kind of shuts out Jake, and he just goes on this monologue in the darkness of just how he will destroy everything. And that's really cool. That's really threatening. For the first time, really, I felt that the Lich was just this really, really bad thing. Like, you kind of got tastes before, but this is really, when you see him, just terrifying, you know? And the voice and everything, that worked really well in this episode. And to be fair, I really kind of like what happened to the Lich. I like the solution. That wasn't, you know, when you saw Finn laying in the pile of goo, you know, it clicks that he's going to use that somehow to fight the Lich, but I did not expect the Lich to start growing back flesh and turn into like a giant baby thing. Like that was gross and horrifying and disturbing and like really cool. That was a really cool way to beat your villain, really. You know, there's no Disney death. He's not, like, thrown into a giant pit. It's not like, well, I'm sure that's the last we'll ever see of him. No, they come up with a really creative solution. Okay, so that's the Lich. And of course, the end with Tree Trunks and Pig. Oh, man. I mean, I don't even know if this is the end of the Lich. For all we know, I mean... I'm sure we're gonna see the baby Lich at some point. Tree Trunks and Pig. I like. They're just about to get a divorce and they drop off a baby. All right, so that's the Lich. Finn's dad. I didn't like it. There's just something so anticlimactic about making him a loser, because that's what he really is. He's a deadbeat dad. He says, I mean, he does such deadbeat dad cliches as trying to make up excuses, trying to get his son to do things for him, forgetting his son's name, saying he's going to go to the market. You know, like, we've seen these cliches. We get it. You know, Finn has daddy issues now. It doesn't... I don't know. It's not the direction I would have wanted. I wasn't expecting Finn's dad to be just, like, amazing and be like, oh, son, we're gonna be BFFs now. But I was expecting something. I was expecting either he was gonna be just really cool, but aloof. Like, that's the thing. It wasn't even that he was, like, too cool for Finn, or it wasn't like he was, like, really smart and but just really evil. He was just a loser. Like, kind of like a carny, like just a low-level, kind of fast-talking, but really not too bright guy. And it's an interesting direction to choose, and I respect the way they decided to go with the character. I don't think it's the worst thing they could have done. I personally think it's just anticlimactic. It's just not what we wanted to see. At least it's not what I wanted to see. I want to see someone really epic, someone larger than life, and I guess... in a way, because they defied my expectations, it was kind of a surprise. Throughout the entire episode, I was thinking to myself, is that really Finn's dad? Like, are we gonna go through this episode and then Finn's gonna turn around and then there's gonna be, like, just another humanoid figure in the crystal and it's gonna be like, I'll pass. Or something like that. Or, I mean, I was even thinking that when the Lich started regrowing skin, I'm like, oh gosh, is it gonna turn out that the Lich was actually Finn's dad this entire time? Because, boy, would that be some sort of crazy mind screw. Oh, boy. So, I think that's ultimately... I think they could have set up Finn's dad as, like, this crazy big bad to replace the Lich, and I think that would have been really cool. But that's not the route they decided to go, and maybe he will come back in some sense. I mean, when we see him, he's running off with these really evil beings. What worries me about this is that we've seen Finn hit a low point last season. We saw it when Flame Princess broke up with him, you know, and then even before that, when he first met Flame Princess, you know, he was crying on the ground because Princess Bubblegum. We've already seen Finn go through this whole heroic blue screen of death where he just couldn't do anything. Now we're gonna have to deal with him dealing with daddy issues. I mean, he just got over everything, and now it's... they're either going to dwell on it or they're not, and if they don't dwell on it, it's going to seem really weird, and if they do dwell on it, it's just like, we want to see fun adventure, right? Like, if there's going to be any sort of drama, I'd like there to be just some crazy big bad threatening to rule the world, not, oh no, my dad doesn't like me. That's not really why I watch Adventure Time. I mean, we've already got that with Marceline, right? Like, don't we already have that? I mean, heck, even Joshua wasn't that great a parent. From Dad's Dungeon, at least, he seemed pretty bad as a parent. Although that could just be him not knowing how to raise a human. What I like about the plot, though, is I like that Jake, throughout the entire thing, actually, like, knows what's best. He sees this coming. He knows what's going to happen. And the entire time he warns Finn, and he's there for Finn, and, like, he just comes off as a good friend in this episode. Unlike an uncaring jerkwad last time Prismo showed up. Although, there is something really creepy about Prismo and Jake's relationship there. So that's that, and then I guess the last thing, and possibly the biggest thing, Finn's arm. Is it this arm? Might be this arm. I don't know. I think it's his right arm. Anyway, Finn finally lost his arm. Probably. See, everyone's been predicting this because obviously in all incarnations, Finn, all alternate Finns lost an arm, and it seemed to be pretty set in stone. And it's pretty gutsy for the show to go with this if that's what they're doing. The episode ends like pretty much there. We don't see Finn's hand. We see it for a few minutes. We see the little nub, and then it's gone. So we don't know. Next episode they could come out with something and just have it, boom, he's back. Or they find, they go grant a wish for him to wish his arm back. I mean, yeah. What do I think about it? I think it was interesting. I think it was really cool, like with the grass pulling him and like just the grass sword and everything. Like it looked really cool. It was really cool how he lost his arm. And like I said, if they have the guts to stick with this decision, I think it's really cool. I think it's really awesome to permanently alter a main character like that. The main character like that. And then I like the false healing, like where he touches the goo and you think, oh, his arm's just gonna regrow. Nope, because they make it pretty clear that it's bone. It uses bone to regrow the skin, and since Finn's bone was just gone, it was just a nub. There was nothing to regrow. So, yeah. So overall, I think pretty good two-parter. Probably one of the better ones, but nothing super actiony, super adventure-y. Daddy issues. There's daddy issues. But there is some action here. The Lich is actually really threatening. Major events occur. I definitely check out the episode, but it's still not that amazing action two-parter, three-parter, 2.5-hour movie that we want to see from Adventure Time. I know they can pull this off. They just gotta find the right balance and tone, and I don't know if they had it here. I think the daddy issues thing kind of took away a little bit, although I am kind of happy how realistically they played it. So, yeah. Pieguyrulz, out.